depending on what it is, probably yes. Yeah. I think
But
so.
the budget amounts stay with the departments.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So these are the major increases and decreases here, and so this is where we're at. I will go through before Friday again. I found one area where I can do some cutting. It got to the point where I was cutting it in small amounts, and you keep changing it, and at a certain point you have to stop.
What is our, in the finance, $8,000 increase in finance?
Postage is up significantly. Paper costs have doubled. Not that we're trying to use paper. There's 3 people would have insurance, so that would be a 10% increase in each policy. Now, if it's 5%, that will cut this all down, but it's better to start with 10 rather than start with 2 and go up.
Right.
I think that's.
It's a lot easier to cut it back, makes people feel happy when you're cutting, cutting it
It
out.
works out better too, because then you covering everything, and then once the costs start coming in at the exact amounts, then you can change things.
Do you know when those are due in, Catherine?
That will be due in just before the public hearing. I know.
So we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yes, that would be good.
From what I've seen, we got a letter from our insurance company that rates are going down.
Mhm.
So that
That would be good.
That would be a good trend to.
That would be.
So
good.
the
Yes,
finance,
let's keep our fingers crossed for that.
under finance, that's supplies, and I know you're just giving us
All
the,
the contracts, the TRIO programs went up because we have 3 new programs.
but is that the supplies too?
Yes.
So that's everything for the office?
Yeah, and the COVID-19 items that
Okay.
by, a few months into 2021, we will run out of stock.
Eventually we'll get a book that shows the line items.
Yes, that's on Friday. This was just so you could get an idea where we were. The figures may change because I'm going to keep working on it here.
And recreation, $9,000.
Yes, there's no concession money this year to place. We would charge all of the time of the rec director and the assistants to the recreation budget, and then reimburse the time that was spent on football, cheering, baseball, little league, by percentages on spreadsheets that we had kept. So we were able to charge back from the sports accounts for the cost. But this year there's no concession money.
So the increase in the budget is just to be able to cover that difference in what would have been coming in for
Yes,
concessions?
yes.
Okay.
And then we'll start building up, I hope, the concession money next year, and then 2022 will run smoothly.
That was actually one of the things that we wanted to talk to Public Works about, was
Yes.
that building and what work needed to be done on that building.
Mhm.
That was on the list of things that we were
Yep,
trying to
he
do.
has a reminder on that, but we're getting all the outside stuff done first, and then
Right.
heading him off to the.
Well, we talked about that building being done, but we didn't expect it to be done until spring.
Well, we
Right.
need the assessment of the building done
So that we
for
can
the
have
budget,
it
so
For
we
the
can
budget.
plan on making changes so that the building can be used next year
So-
in light of how things are going to need to operate. And then maybe the concessions can be open and there won't be a gap of $9,000.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed for that, I'm hoping. Probably just the
Now-
addition of the plexiglass. I mean, I know that building needs some work anyway,
It
but
needs to
that,
work anyway.
but that plexiglass alone will help meet some of those health requirements
will.
that we have to meet.
Packaged
That is
food
correct.
too would be a lot easier.
Mhm.
Bags
Well, yeah,
of
we won't be
chips
able
or-
to do like bake sale items, it'll have to be all prepackaged and.
Yeah, it will be a change, but we know that the concessions make big money.
I can't tell you a game that I went to that I haven't purchased concessions at, even if I didn't need any. Popcorn always smells good, doesn't matter the time
Yes,
of
this
day.
is true. And so I did talk with the librarian, she thinks she could cut a little bit, but then you're cutting into your programs and your books. So all through the budget, we can do a little bit of cutting, but it's whether it makes a difference or not in the bottom line.
Well, we've gone so long without attending to certain needs that, to me, the budget looks fine. There might be some.
Do you think that $8,300 is going to be enough for the theater to cover snow removal? That's my big concern.
Theater?
It's budgeted very, very tightly. I'm hoping that Steve will be able to find a company that doesn't cost as much.
I wanna say I recalled 13,000 being the minimum, just from when we were talking
I
about.
was thinking it was something like
it
13 or
before,
15.
And that was just looking at our actual budget book, when you had everything listed out, like what we were gonna need and what we weren't gonna need.
For the entire.
Because we don't need to
For
have
the
the
whole
phones,
year.
right? That can be.
Correct, so the phones are gone, the internet's gone, a lot of the contracts are gone.
Right.
So a lot of the basic items are gone, but we still have a water sewer bill, it would be a lot less.
Right.
For the projection on that. We'll still have a central main power bill, I did a projection on that. That's a lot
And
less.
that will mostly be the heat.
The propane,
Well, we have a propane furnace and our biggest bill is actually the kicking on of the furnace. Our bill drops in the summer.
well, that's good. So we've got the fuel cost, servicing the furnaces in there, although if Steve Vance had time, he does have his permits and licenses, so he can service that, but that hasn't happened so far.
That's kind of a minimal cost though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the service.
There's a whole bunch of little minimal things in there.
So we're gonna minimally heat the building.
Mhm.
And is there concerns around the audiovisual equipment can that room be heated to what it needs to be to keep that equipment intact and not have issues? I mean, do we need to heat, I guess I'm thinking that there's different areas that need to be heated to different temperatures. Like you don't have to heat the whole big main room as warm as you would wanna keep the room where your equipment is, because of condensation and moisture and things like that.
I think the only problem with the big room is the bathroom that's in there.
Well, that can be, I mean, the bathrooms, I think
Can
the
be
bathrooms
closed.
should be drained and the water should be shut off.
Yep.
I don't think there's any reason, you're really risking if the heater doesn't kick on at the right time and it gets a cold spell or something.
We lose
The
power.
kitchen should be shut down, the water should be shut off, the pipes should be winterized. Same thing with the bathrooms. There's no benefit to keeping them on and keeping the water on if possible, to shut everything down and off.
Okay, so Steve has said, no, we're not shutting everything down, but this is,
Why?
because he says that we need the water for the furnace.
Oh.
He was a furnace
Is it a
repair
boiler?
person. For the boiler, yes. He was, it has a bucket that the water goes through, which we have to empty, every 3 weeks perhaps.
But we should be able to close down the bathroom
Yes, I agree with that.
and the kitchen. Those don't have anything to do with the boiler.
Mhm. No, I understand. He simply is backed up on work and so is looking at this as though, he won't touch anything, but he's gonna have to, and look at the heating. There's a whole list of things he needs to look at.
It might be less expensive for us to have a plumber go in to do it and just contract someone to do it than to pull our public works foreman off of other projects to have it done.
Yeah, we still have some money in that budget. We should use it to get that winter ready.
Money in what budget?
In the theater budget, there's still a little bit of money left in that. So if we can have, I mean, we have local plumbers who I'm sure would be willing to.
I mean, you're talking 3 bathrooms and a kitchen sink and a hand sink in the kitchen.
Mhm.
And that's the extent of the
And
plumbing.
we have plenty of people in the area who service furnaces.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge competition. Especially propane ones. Those
Oh,
are,
propane ones, okay.
yeah, the propane furnaces that's a huge, because it's an energy saving thing.
Mhm. All right, I'll talk to Steve about hiring a plumber. I do know that water sewer has had to wait quite a bit for our plumbers to come, but I'm sure that they will come at some point.
This is a little more standard too than anything that water and sewer would have done.
Yeah, we're just having them shut it down.
Right. And then it'd be one less thing Public Works has to do.
We still have work to do, I agree, at the theater.
So overall, right now, we're looking at a 7.4% increase.
Yes.
Did I do my math right?
Yes.
And a lot of that is, 147,000 of the 299 is from our debt service payment. So that's what we expected was going to happen.
All right, so that's where we're at
So-
right now.
Do we consider that to be bad or good, or, I'm just, to me, it looks good.
Well, the expenses that are increasing, the debt service is something that we knew was gonna happen.
Right.
The fully funding the positions in the police department and public works is something that we've already budgeted for and we knew was going to happen.
Right.
I don't know that there's anything unexpected in here, except maybe the increase in the postage because of all the mailings that the finance,
Right.
and did the town clerks, also get increased for postage because of all the election type things, or is that being
No.
covered?
That would be
They'll be
all
covered with
employment.
we just got a COVID-19 election grant.
Okay,
Oh,
so that's
nice.
gonna be covered for
They'll
that.
cover the postage.
And are we expecting that to be similar, if people are becoming more comfortable with voting in this way this year, are they going to be continuing to use it next year, and will that same funding be available? Or do we need to plan on having some semblance of increased costs for next year's election?
No, I think we'll be almost set. We got a nice grant, and we'll use it all up by the end of December, which will assist us, just like the other grant, in carrying over for a few months.
Okay. But anyway, yeah, Deborah, I mean, I don't think I see anything in here that's.
I think the department did pretty well.
Well, and if you consider the fact that workers' comp and unemployment both went up, that's going to affect every single department's budget. So
Right.
we're expecting to see increases. And that's stuff that's beyond our control. We can't say that unemployment, or workers' comp or unemployment, like, no, we're not gonna pay you.
Yeah, right.
And this has the 10% increase in health insurance,
It has
which
that.
has
Yeah.
always come in under that, so this is gonna change a little bit, anyway. So
This
this
is
is just kind of our
start very
preview
slow.
anyway. Did you wanna go on to the capital?
Yes, let's go on to the capital. Do you have an idea of what we've been working on
And
here?
this is 2 sheets, right? This is-
Yes, so the capital is 2 sheets. This capital, which is on the 8.5 by 11, is the capital that's contained in the budget. So this is the capital part of the municipal budget. And so there were a number of projects that were submitted, and then you'll have your budget book, which lists out the details, but basically, we would overhaul, number 3, the computers, and start digitization in the town office, which is to the sheer number of boxes and items that we have. So the computers need a new server, and we need to upgrade the computers. Some of us have very old ones. So that's one that if we get in a jam, we can delete it if we have to.
And the laptops that were purchased in the spring were strictly a Band-Aid situation.
To get by, we did buy a new one for down here because it was just so old, it was the oldest one, and it was malfunctioning, and we wanted public participation. And it's worked well for the meetings we have had people, but worked exceptionally well for planning board because the out-of-state consultants and contractors are using it, which is very good.
Yeah.
What about the laptops though?
Some
That
of
were
those
purchased.
were budgeted, so
Huh?
some of those were budgeted, so we do have those, and they're secured upstairs. Yep. But the actual computers that we have and the networking is older. So we're gonna have this completely looked over by a consultant.
Catherine, is it possible to have those laptops used as, like, for example, for my job, I use the laptop for my main computer.
Right.
And then instead of buying new computers, we buy docking stations. And we just,
Exactly.
that's what I do with my job. And then if, God forbid, we have to do some kind of a shutdown, there's no worry about where the files are because they're there. Is that something that, because that could save money instead of having to buy new computers. We've already bought new computers. And if the issue is storage, well, there's other, we have a server, right, that we, I know you said the server has to be updated and that's expensive.
Yeah, we do, the server is older and, we've gotten by, we've done well, but it.
Well, with
doesn't-
everything that's going digital,
Mhm.
that's something that shouldn't be cut.
Mhm. Yes, no.
That is, but if we can look at the cost of docking stations for those brand new laptops we have that are now not being used because people are using their desktops, I think that that's a way to look at saving money, but also ensuring that there's operable, good equipment being used.
So when you're using your laptop, the major items that I'm hearing, and I'm different, so I'm not gonna count myself, but people have trouble typing onto the laptop.
Oh no, you put it on a docking station and you plug a keyboard into the docking station. So my laptop sits way over here and I have my monitor, I actually have, if you count my
All right,
laptop,
so
3
you're
monitors.
making the laptop into a big computer station, basically.
Yes, and you do that through a docking station. So my keyboard and my mouse are hooked into my docking station, my monitors are hooked into my docking station, and so is my LAN connection for the internet. So everything's hooked into that, and then when I'm done for the day, I close it down or I undock it if I don't, like if we have a thunder and lightning storm, I'll undock it instead of having to unplug everything.
I think we'd have to do some research on how much
Yeah,
that
we'd
would
have
cost
to
for
figure
the
out,
3
yeah, okay,
laptops.
we'll look into
and-
that on the cost of the docking stations and
I
maybe.
can tell you my docking station cost $150 and my laptop cost $2,000. So, and computers aren't going down in price, so I know that it's a cost-saving option that we can look at. And if you want, Catherine, I'll take pictures of what my station looks
If you
like.
could, that would be very helpful.
And then you can see that it's set up very well and easy to use because the docking station connects the whole system just like a CPU would.
Okay, that sounds interesting. All right, very good, because the computer would be $799, so if it's just a docking station. Okay. All right, so we'll look that over. And again, this is an item that could be taken out or cut or what have you, but we figured we need to have a consultant go through the networking, due to the way things are set up.
Absolutely.
So it's
That's a
interesting
must.
setup.
Yeah, because I've never seen such a configuration.
Well, even outside of that, everything is going digital now. We have
Right.
to keep our system updated,
Mhm.
and that is
And we're
important.
dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars. We need to make sure that the equipment we're using
Mhm.
is in sync with the times.
Yes, and the staff has tried to work on that, and probably it has worsened the setup. So we need to have somebody look at it, and then we'll resolve where we're going here. All right, municipal building reserve $5,000. This is money we were putting away for major repairs on the elevator, which has had its little issues here. The air conditioning units, which have been quoted, are now not at 82,000, but 132,000. But again, you could have a different type of system. So our air conditioning heating system is on the roof. It is 48 years old. So we're putting monies away toward repairs and replacement of all of these items, but of course, we can only put a certain amount of money away.
How much is in that account right now, do you know?
I didn't bring all the reserves with me, but
Oh, that's okay, Karen.
it's over 20,000.
Okay.
The cruiser, this is the year for another cruiser. We were buying cruisers, 3 cruisers being updated in a row over 3 years, then 1 year off. Now it's 4 cruises over 4 years and then 1 year off. So that is the cost for the cruiser and the changeover of equipment.
So is this the year to buy a cruiser?
Yes.
And so what happens to, we have 4.
one of them gets cycled out,
Mhm.
and we put a new
To
one
who?
in.
Somewhere else?
It either gets sold or utilized elsewhere. Usually they're sold.
They used to be utilized elsewhere, but now they're sold, because we used to have, the code officer would use one. You used to have different staff members would use them, but, basically they were pretty bad by the time they got them.
Yeah, they had a lot of miles on them, so, but yeah, they get sold.
So this is the year.
Yes,
So we buy 4 cruisers every 5 years, we
yes,
buy 4
yes.
cruisers.
Instead of, it was 3 in every 4 years, but now adding on the extra cruiser,
So it's 4 in a 5-year period.
yes.
Yeah, is there a way that we could just pay for cruisers, every year, have a certain amount we put in, so we don't have this up and down, or are we
I was just
balancing
thinking the
out-
same thing, can we just take like an average? And
Yeah, are we
put it
balancing
across?
out the year that we don't have the cruiser with something else that we need to
Correct.
do every 5 years?
Yes, we're balancing out the things that other departments need.
Okay.
So we're putting money away for the police station for updates. So there is 5,000 now, and this will be the second 5,000. ACO vehicle, you all said no, which I agree with. Fire station reserve, 5,000 for that, for work to be done downstairs. And I think next year is the year we should, I've got a list of things we should work on next year. And I think this is one that we can help the fire chief with, and fire department. Garage, I added this in, Steve did not put this in, but I did add in garage roof and repairs because
Yeah, really.
it's leaking and needs to be fixed, even if you put tar on it or something.
I was gonna say, if it's been leaking, how come it hasn't been, why wasn't it fixed when it happened?
Because I found out, I think, late last year that it was leaking, I didn't know it was leaking.
What happened to our yearly building assessment that we asked for, so
Yeah,
that we can plan out work on things?
so this stuff doesn't go unnoticed for long periods of time.
All right, that's something we're gonna, with COVID-19, everything got shoved to the side, and so this is one of the items that's behind here. So, yes, those need to be done, but they're not gonna get done until the winter, basically, in which we will see.
I'm sorry, till when?
Till the winter. Remember, we gotta do all the outside stuff first, and get the roads fixed and all the projects done, and then head inside without overtime, as much as possible. And then I put some money in for a garage reserve. I mean, we're not gonna have a new garage. Several years ago, 2 years ago, Steve had put in $106,045 for a new roof. I wouldn't think you'd wanna spend that much money on that building. So if we're going to, then we need to assess it
Does it have a
properly.
metal roof?
We would assess it properly with an engineer and everything. So I did put some money toward a reserve for the Public Works garage. These were not submittals from the Public Works Department, but I thought it needed to have addressed in some fashion to start the process. That's all the tax dollars, so that's $89,980. That's an increase of $9,980 over last year, but a substantial decrease from what we used to have. We would have $140,000 in, and then last year it got cut to try to balance the budget.
Catherine, can you say that again? The
Yes.
capital improvement budget is increased funded by taxation.
Yes.
How much?
This time it will be an increase to $89,980, which is the first section under A, funded by taxation. That's an increase of $9,980 over the 2020 budget, which was a big decrease from what usually it is, because it was cut at public hearing last year.
Okay, so we're still behind where we were 2 years ago?
Yes.
And is that,
Because we can't, the increase in the budget is too large to go in and add in even more. So I kept it approximately the same as what was approved at the public hearing.
You said that's an increase, not a decrease.
Correct.
and all of our capital projects that we had in 2020 have been completed or in process?
In process or completed, with the exception of the municipal building cosmetic outside work. In that we need to write bid specs for each of the items, and the contractors weren't available, even when we called without the bid specs. So Steve has been told that's his #1 project for once cold weather gets here and he's inside, regardless of storms. He needs to write all those so I can bid them all out over the winter and have all these spring projects. And it will be done.
So, since you mentioned, and this doesn't really have a budget thing to do, since you mentioned building improvements on the outside, the tree at the corner is blocking where it says Pittsfield Fire Department. You can't actually see the building because the tree is growing
Okay.
in front of it.
So it needs to be
So that's
trimmed.
that's a
Yeah,
Somerset Avenue.
there's like no signage on the building that tells people from out of town. If you don't see the fire department doors,
Mhm.
you know, you never know there's a fire department there or the municipal office.
All right, I wrote down the Somerset Avenue tree.
I think you just need like the lower branches trimmed or something.
Yes. One of the items for the building with the cosmetics is better signing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a whole list of items, but we need specs for them. Some specs I can't write. Although if I have to, I will do it, but it would be preferable public works visit. All right, under the funding by loans and bonds, this would be lease purchases and one CIP loan, which would be funded by taxpayer dollars and not funded by the Pittsfield Future account. So I'm not saying you're going to do all of these projects, but this is what people have requested. First of all, the fire engine. This is a large item, and if it's not done now, it is 30 years old. You could try to budget for over 2 or 3 years.
Because federal law says they have to change, purchase new items to replace. I think it's 20 years old now.
Yeah, I know, but
I know, they
across
make
the
these
state.
rules without any consideration of the cost.
Yes, across the state, the vehicles are unfortunately older than that in many cases. So the engine's in here, whether you decide to do it now or to do it in a couple of years. We have replaced the 1989 Ford dump truck. This was listed last year, and we did put some monies in for a lease purchase payment. But I put the whole thing in so that we can start working on the snow plowing action plan. So this is my way of putting something in there so that we can move forward. You're going to need at least one truck.
Right.
So we
Whether it's
already-
a dump truck or,
You didn't have the whole lease purchase. You just had a payment, a partial payment for a used vehicle that was put in the budget last year when the $180,000 got cut. Matt said, is there some way we could try to put some money towards something? And so I did put a small payment in the budget last year, which we can carry over toward this.
And do you recall how much that was?
I believe it was $38,343. Let's see if I guessed right.
38,000 what?
I'm gonna check.
343. That's close enough.
Yeah, really.
I just wanted to know what it
38,000.
was. I was thinking like that would take us 5 years. You know, if we put that much each year, it's gonna take us 5 years to save up.
That's why it's gotta be a lease
Enough.
purchase.
Yeah.
And that's a payment amount, that would be a payment
That was a payment amount for a used vehicle.
for to buy the used vehicle outright or to,
Lease purchase.
It's a lease
for-
purchase.
payments on
purchase.
the lease purchase for a
Yes.
used vehicle.
Okay, $38,314.
Well, you were way off, geez.
I know,
Really?
ridiculous.
That was close.
So,
It probably was that figure at one time, but.
what is in these budgets right now? These capital improvement budgets?
The highway budget's very low because the monies were used for the backhoe was purchased outright. So it used most of the money. He has a couple of accounts. There's enough money for graveling the roads and an emergency repair, basically. There is the paving account with the $35,000 in it. that you decided to have previously. But there's not a lot of
Decided
highway
to what?
reserves. You wanted to put some money away the year that Caleb was on, you remember the whole budget issue with how the monies were gonna be divided up between the departments. So we ended up putting 35,000 toward paving, so there was some actual paving money.
Okay.
So that's in a reserve. So highway reserves are pretty low.
So
all
these
right.
3 projects for highway, between the overlay shim, the work truck,
Mm-hmm.
and then the
They
dump
have-
truck, is
right.
$740,000.
Mm-hmm.
The work truck,
That was the only submittal from Public Works.
is that like a pickup truck for,
This I would perceive to be an advancement over a pickup truck, but it would be a small truck, maybe
So-
like a 3/4 or,
okay, so
Oh.
similar to what
Like
we
a
just got for
350.
water sewer?
yeah.
Okay.
Although that price is a little bit high for that.
I was
And
gonna
if
say.
If we bid it, it can be,
We're looking at a pickup truck.
they're
On the high end.
they're looking at beyond a pickup truck.
Hercules of a pickup truck.
Yeah,
Okay.
And perhaps something they could put a sander in or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, it would be heavy duty.
Are we able, like, so if we decide to do these things, are we able to put, like, we have to do the police cruiser, and if we decide to do like this pickup truck, for example,
Mm-hmm.
are we able to put those items together and get a bid and try and bid it out through the same dealer and try and get better pricing? I know we usually get the cruisers at the state, bidding.
The state bidding has always been lower cost than when you go to the dealers. We could try it,
Okay.
but it's traditionally, that's what towns do, and that's why the prices are so low. You get what the state police get.
Right, okay.
It's like a group discount.
Oh, it's a big discount.
Yeah, big
yes.
group discount.
A good discount.
Although I have to say, I was up in Bangor and I had never seen so many pre-done police cruisers than I saw in the Darlings outer lot. They have been producing some,
Just the season.
yes.
Okay.
So these are the ones to be funded by loan, bond, lease purchase. The next part, Part C, is by special revenue and trust accounts. So I put a mower in here so we didn't run out with the cemetery getting down to where the mower hardly works. So we could do this in a more timely fashion. And we've got, that money would be used from the trust account, so it's no impact on tax dollars. And then the library would be no impact on tax dollars at this point because the money is already in the reserve. So she's going to use the monies in the reserve for 2021, and then we'll continue on in 2022 and start putting the $5,000 in there each time. And last year, and this year, Holly had tried to do work and get quotes and people to come in to do that work and ended up with, outrageous bids or no bidders. So she's decided that she will have the monies used in the reserve account, and then that way it won't be in the budget, it'll be an issue, an increase and decrease the budget, it'll be in the reserve account, and then we'll take the money out as we get the contractors, like the rest of us do.
Do we have to contract the painting? I know the windows need to be.
The outside windows, yes. Now, she signed up for the correctional facility, but that's all that's on hold, and we were way down on the list anyway.
I'm just curious, like, could that be a community project? Going in and painting our library?
The ceilings in the library.
Yeah, see, the problem is that there's a lot of cracks and items.
There's
It's not,
repairs and
it's not
things,
regular
too.
painting. I mean, you might be able to do the bottom part, but then the contractor who has the ladders and the insurance would have to do the top part, and then who says it would match?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's why I was asking, because
Is
if it
this-
was simply just a paint
Yes.
job,
That would be good.
I mean, that would be a fun community project.
Sure.
Work it out with MCI or something to
That
get
would
your
be good.
older high school students, but if it's drywall and stuff, I understand.
No, that is a good idea. If the library was smaller.
What about the mural on the ceiling when you first come in, the dome? How's that holding up? And that would need special care,
That would be.
just like any other mural.
Mhm. I haven't heard of any issues, but I'm not sure that we've gone up there and actually
Has it been looked at though by
looked at it
somebody?
closely instead of from the ground. We
Yes,
did
you have to
take-
get right up and look at it.
We did take care of another problem by it, behind the walls, that was taken care of, but the actual mural, I won't go into that. So the actual mural, no, nobody with expertise has looked at that close up.
I think probably it's time someone did.
I'll put
Is
that
it
on
10
the
years
list.
old or something?
Yeah, wow, that's been there for how long, Catherine? Has it been 10 years?
Oh, at
a
least.
long time.
I was gonna say the
It's
mural,
been there.
that's been there forever.
Forever.
Yeah, a long time. Oh, yeah.
I was trying to think if it was there
Because
when I first came
Rosalie,
into
Rosalie
town.
Williams was part of everything when that was done, right?
Who?
Yeah.
Yes, that was a lot of years ago.
Yeah, that was quite a while. I wanna say that was done when I was in school.
I think so.
So it's probably time to have somebody qualified look at that very closely, because I would really hate for us to lose that.
No, that's a good item, and because we deal with so many issues, I mean, everybody runs around all day, they don't think of this other stuff.
I'm just gonna write mural.
Yep, I wrote it down too. Expertise, somebody with expertise to look at the mirror. All right, on to Part E, water sewer capital. And so, we
We don't
have,
really have control over this, do we?
no,
You haven't heard that, I take it? No, I didn't think so.
so for the water part, on the standpipe painting of the water tower, inside and out, we do have sufficient funds to begin on that. We have all of our associates on board, and we should be able to make an arrangement so they can write the bid specs for us. So we can get bid specs off the internet and then have them fix them for us, because we got them off before when we were going to do this.
Is this our current reserve account?
Yes.
Is that 400,000?
Yes, yes.
And so the line item for this year is 80,000? Is that the 80,000 we've been talking about, whether or not we have to continue putting it in?
Yeah, so we would those would be lowered, to make up for the contract with all of our associates at this point. But it's not the 80,000 for the sewer sludge.
Oh.
So this is for the water.
This is different, okay.
Yeah. So we have over 400,000 in the standpipe painting, so we need to do the project. We also have a generator for the pump station, actual generator, not plumbing it properly, so that we can go find a generator. We would actually put a generator in the pump station eventually and get this over with. There's no grants that are available through FEMA. You would think there would be, because that is what would become an emergency situation if you weren't able to get a generator. I assume we would get one from somebody, but you'd have to run around, play around to do it.
Did you get stuff from the electrician on that, on the work that needs to be done and how much that'll cost?
Yes and no, I'm still looking into that. It appears now that it wasn't properly put in 1998.
And we're just learning that now?
Yes, and that's what I don't understand, because I've been told that it's fine to be hooked up. What would have happened if we had an emergency? We've had employees certify and actually had inspection reports that said that everything was fine. So I'm still not convinced I have all the information here. But we will fix it so it's done properly and then see where we're going with this. All right. Combined purchases with water, sewer, public works. I don't have any of these, and that's good, because these makes the budget process confusing on the motions that are made. So luckily there's none in there.
Before we go any further, the generator for the pump house, I don't see that here, but we need one.
Okay, it's number 66.
66 is the second one down.
Yeah.
That's what we were just talking about.
Well,
Water capital projects.
okay,
Yep,
I need to highlight
And
it.
sewer capital project, there isn't a project listed. Is that just a general, put away 20,000 each year in a reserve account?
Yeah, so I did put that on the big master sheet, but I will add that to this doc. Well, I actually have added that. That is the grip chamber that is down off Dobson Street. between Dobson Street and Manson Park, there is a grit chamber that protects the system, that needs to be rebuilt. It's collapsed in. We can't go down in it for confined space. It's been found it needs to be fixed. So that should be a project that can be bid out by all of our associates with not much trouble. So all of our associates had put these 3 items in and working with Chris. We already had the standpipe painting in there a few years ago, and it didn't go forward because the engineering specs weren't good enough, and then the staff got busy, but it needs to be done. We have a consultant on board that's running the facility, so this is the time to do it. And then the pump station generator, that is an important item to do. We can still look around for grants, but nothing has come up yet. And then fixing the grit chamber, that's important to do too. And there's some other projects that are important. They were on the charts, but these would be the ones we would actually do.
So the $400,000 one though, we already have that money.
Right.
Yes,
Like
So that's not
dirt
impacting
before it goes
taxes.
in.
correct.
Before it goes in.
The generator, which obviously has to happen, that would impact taxes because we don't have that money, or do we have a combination of reserve funds for it
We might,
with some?
we may be able to use some of this rehabilitation fund. It should be in a separate, in my opinion, it should be in a separate reserve on the general ledger for the water and sewer. However, the auditor combines it in with the other monies that are on the general ledger for the assets and the liabilities. And so I have to keep track of what it is and ask them, and then they do their calculations.
Okay.
So we used a lot of that money on the sewer system to be the match for the Northern Regional Border Commission grant.
Mhm.
So we do have some monies left, but it's whether you would want to spend it all, or
Okay.
keep some. So this is all part of whether there would be a rate increase or not, and that's why I left it open.
Okay, so that's why you're saying rate or reserve.
Yes, so
Okay.
as we get closer to whether we'll have a rate increase for water, sewer or not, and whether we'll have enough funds, we'll figure out how to pay for both of these. So it's open right now, and it's open enough on the CIP so you can do this in the way that will least impact the ratepayers. All right, F, no combined purchases. G, has grants and donations. So these are the projects that were listed on the capital improvement program. Downtown revitalization, $50,000. Park projects, $30,000. Community building of some nature someday, but it is listed there. And the only item I did add was town entrances. So these would all be donation, grants, special revenues, they're non-tax dollars. So if the monies come in, we would do the project. So I put town entrances, that's the only new project here. I was
Yeah.
able to fit everything else in
Better
there.
lighting
Yeah,
for both of the entrances.
yeah, it's lighting, it's signage, because the signs are expensive to do. It would be some sort of calming if we can do it. Other items.
So this town
Directional
entrances
signs.
is not entrances to the building, it's like the signage when you come in on Route 100.
Yes, in the different
Route 100,
each road.
Route 2.
Yeah.
Okay. And we don't have lighted signs on there, it's just like a reflector
Yes,
tape or.
yeah,
or
which you
something.
can't really see well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a little boring.
So those would be solar type.
They're tired. And missing in some places, there's no one coming in from Peltola and there's
Correct.
not one coming in, aside from the little, like, town line one.
So
There's
this
one
is the
coming from
long-term
Vernon.
item that you've mentioned and others have
Yeah.
mentioned. We would actually put it onto the capital improvement plan, then look for grant funding for it.
For what?
Donations, something.
Signs.
Oh,
Coming into town, there's two, one on Route 100, one on Route 2,
right,
but
and none on the
there
other.
isn't one on the other ones, and the ones that we do have are very tired and worn and the paint's peeling and faded, so.
So
All
are
right.
we gonna, so is that the sign that you were talking about, Catherine?
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
I just wanna make sure I put it in the right place.
yes. So this would be the CIP, the capital budget for 2021 right now, which is the first column on your big 11 by 17 Excel spreadsheet.
East here.
And so we're required to have a 5-year capital improvement plan. I'm not gonna go through all of this, we can pick out items you wanna talk about. So we have a 5-year capital improvement plan, which would be for the years of 2021 to 2025. The first year of the capital improvement plan is the capital budget that's in your municipal budget, which we just went through in detail. And then I also have expenditures of some of the projects that people had submitted information on, and in planning forward, we put monies ahead for the years 2026 to 2030. So you have like a 10-year plan, but not everything is on it, but a lot is on it. Each year we add more and more.
Well, this is pretty good. We pave all of our roads by 2028.
Yes, that would be nice if that really did happen.
Which then we'll have to start all over again.
That would be nice if that happened.
Yeah.
So the first part of the capital budgets are all the departments. So these are the municipal budget. I changed and took the year 2020 off here and put it onto the second document, which we'll go over quickly. So you have all of your projects listed for 2021 and then projects for the next few years. The second part, I took the theater revitalization project totally off and created future new capital projects so that we could go forward and add on the items.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Oh, down at the bottom. Okay.
So
We
this
have an
gives
empty
us the
project.
room for next year, the year after, etc. Because the one thing I found with this setup is that if I want to insert things, it's very hard to do because the numbers go up to over 100. So now I've
Is
got
this
the,
just a spreadsheet?
yes, right, but each project number matches up with a sheet that explains it out in the capital plan. So I really don't want to change
Tab
the numbers.
assignments.
I don't want to change the numbers.
Okay.
So this worked out good, not that that's why we don't have the theater anymore. So the third part on page 2, starting with 60 down to 92, are the water sewer projects, which have pretty much already been listed in our master planning for water and sewer, as well as the Oliver study for flow issues that we did when we first hired Oliver over 10 years ago. We got the 15 years ago, basically, so we got that all together so we could get all the federal funding. So the only thing I did have to add in is I made a change in number 7980. Each year had 6 hydrants listed and we would decide what they were. I moved 6 of the hydrants up from
Right.
80 to 79 and made it 12 hydrants, and then made a place number 80 for rebuilding the sewer enclosure, the grit chamber. So that's the only difference I made in 2021. I did move some of the other accounts around because we can't do everything in one year.
So we're not gonna do hydrants next year.
We have some hydrants, so we can do hydrants next year.
Okay, because we have them, because I remember we bought
We
some
have
at a
them.
really good price.
Yes, we have a really good price that we won't see again evidently. So that's all the Main Street hydrants will be done next year. I had it.
Well, they're
And
doing
what
all the
about the,
sidewalks.
We have
all
them
the
all
other
the
ones
time.
that need to be
Yeah.
fixed?
And then we just plan on doing the 5 or 6 every year after that.
Yes, yes.
And then, looking ahead, there's a large project coming up for 2022, the Forest Park Main.
Yeah, if we were to, we have to settle how our debt service is going to work and how, if we get a rate increase, how much money can we put away toward another debt service? So this project actually was listed for 2021 and I moved it into 2022. It may need to be divided between a couple of years. It'll all depend on the state revolving loan fund and the amount of monies that are available, whether we can have a 20-year loan and some forgiveness. But to do that, we have to look at a rate increase first.
And you had mentioned before that this would not be a project that you would want to do, the USDA Rural Development loans,
No.
because of the match.
Yeah, the interest rate is too much. The match required, we would only get a certain percentage of it, less than 50%.
Mhm.
Catherine, I don't see Library Street listed
I'm
on this.
looking at number 68.
No, so that's water sewer, on that.
Well, yeah, but I thought that water sewer has to be done on Library Street before you can do the paving part.
Well, I
That's what I thought.
actually went in and put, because we don't know what project we're gonna do, on your first page, number 28, I've got public works project / bridge / large culverts rebuild, starting out in 2022. So there's a project that will go in there. And then the water sewer part will have to be determined where that will go.
But it's in the public works.
Yeah, Public Works has a project for a road, of some extent, which we don't know what it will be yet.
Where is that?
Under number 28 on page 1.
On page 1?
Yeah, on the first page, number 28, there'll be a Public Works project. It will be a rebuild, large culverts or bridge, whatever it will be. I don't know if it will be Library Street or something else. Because there's just only so much money that we have. Of course, you could move that into 2021 and take the truck out and put that in 2022. So,
Don't we have the other Sebastopol culvert to do as well as
Yes.
the bridge abutment?
See, that's the stuff I'm not
Butler?
seeing listed, and I was curious about that. Because I
Right.
remember we talked about all of these.
right, but we don't know what the amount will be.
I see.
Yeah, so I put in, it's like a holding, this is like a placeholder for something. And again, you could take out the Ford dump truck number 22 and put a couple of projects in there. I mean, that's your option. So the engineering part is something that we have to get all the cost estimates on. And so I have those bids, and that's the one project that's waiting for me to get through the budget, because I had to help Steve with all his projects, so I had to put something aside so we could push all the public works stuff forward.
So that information is forthcoming then?
Yes, oh yeah, and that was always gonna be received sometime during the budget process anyway.
And when do we need to make the decision about what these projects are going to be for next year? Whether it's a truck or a truck and it's engineering, or it's the other,
By the public hearing.
by the public hearing?
And again, like 22 that could become a project. You could decide on 27, you don't want to pave everything. You want a project that would have 50,000 in debt service and 450 for paving. So there's a lot of options here. But no, I didn't feel comfortable making up figures for a whole bunch of projects, and so we'll have those for next year. Yep. Although I'm not sure how long we want the CIP document to become.
Well, yeah, really.
All right, so that part 3 was the water sewer, and then part 4, excavator 93 down through 100. So the excavator we already have, but there's a variety of projects that would be combined projects shared by water, sewer, and public works, and they're here. Whether you were, these aren't submitted, whether you would go get a vacuum jetter truck, or I would just simply contract for it. But that was a submittal. And then your last part is the grants and donations, which are all the projects you've had on here, like airport projects, downtown revitalization, industrial park, whole variety of other items that are only done if you get a grant, a donation, special revenues, money came forward that was not taxpayer dollars. So the second set of documents is your history for 2019 and 2020. I think you remember in the budget books, I started doing the CIP for the 2003 budget year, and I had all that together. And so we separated all that out and made a new document. And then each year, so it doesn't get beyond 10 years, each year gets moved on to this history document, which is your second document. So your history is now 2019 and 2020. So that shows the projects that were approved. And then that's why it has the theater on there, which has now disappeared. And it has all your other categories for water, sewer, grants and everything.
But these are all projects that were completed.
That were completed, in progress, or will be completed, yes. And then there's a few details I couldn't get onto the sheet, and I just may not be able to. I tried to cram them on here, I didn't want a third sheet, but it looks like I will have it. And I'll probably make it bigger, because I can't get it onto 2 sheets. So I'll probably move some of these things down so you can see it better. And then your last sheets, the last pages, 3, are the funding sources for all of the projects in the CIP. So it has the grand total from the front page of all the projects, and it has how they're funded. At this point, because of the paving costs, it's distributed unequally in bonds and loans, because there's no way to really make a difference paving with the taxpayer dollars anymore, because when we used to be able to do that, the paving cost was $8.50 per ton, not $90, $80 to $90 to $100 a ton. So now you have to go get a loan.
Catherine, these totals listed here, this is over a 10-year period?
Yes, yes. So by the time you get to the end, over the 10-year period, it's down from last year with a little bit over 25 million. This is almost 23 million. But yes, that's over a 10-year period. And this is where I need to move the document down to make the headings show up, because they disappeared.
I think if you take out the capital future projects, you could bump everything up. And that would make it work.
Oh, okay, put it in where it says capital project. I may have to, because it gets cut off and I don't know why.
Yeah, I have a
Well, is there a way to
half
collapse
a page and then
this
there's an empty page.
46 through 59 to collapse it? And then that would move everything up a little bit, or you want to be able to keep like this block?
Yeah, I want to keep that because we'll be filling in things. Like, I figured when you got your engineering back, like for next year, you'd have a whole bunch of projects in there for highway.
Do we know when those bids are coming back? Do we have bids out for the engineering?
Yeah, I have all the books, but it's not apples to apples, so I'm gonna have to go through and interview them all to figure out what we're doing, because by doing this, we're trying to get a town engineer so we don't have to do this each year.
Right.
So we need the person that's not just the lowest bidder, the person who's gonna do the most for the town, that we can call them and ask a question and not get a bill on unless it's a larger item. So we're trying to get like a consultant on board. So I'm gonna have to spend some time with this.
How many submissions did you receive for that?
I got 4, which is good.
Which
Are any of them
project are we
local?
talking?
Yes.
What are we talking,
Okay.
paving? No.
No, we're talking
engineering.
about an engineer, contracting and
For-
having an engineer kind of on standby for the town to be able to call, ask questions, bring them projects and know that they're gonna work, have time to
Okay.
work on it.
So we have like a rate sheet for the future. Right now, they would do the cost estimating for the different projects that were picked out. So we have that and insert that for future budgets, but know now, so we can pick out one project. They would design one project next year for us, and then they'd be on board with a rate sheet that, you know, that we've agreed to ahead of time. Because we found when we bid out per price, this works out better, but if we could fix it so the rate sheet was finite and didn't change anymore, that would work out better.
Well, and this was an RFP we put out earlier in
Yeah.
the year anyway, right?
Yeah.
It'd make it a little easier for planning purposes.
Yes.
If we know we need a bid for X, Y,
Correct.
and Z, we know it's gonna cost $15,000 in order to do
Right.
X, Y, and Z.
And we would already have them and not have to go out to bid,
Right.
which does save time. Hopefully this master plan will work here.
The last thing you had here, Catherine, was other budget items of interest.
I don't
the last
have anything specifically. I did run out, which I'll have in your budget books, amortization schedules for different numbers of years for projects, but I don't have any other projects beyond what you have here, which seems to be a lot. So I will continue to work on the budget, the council package together, and work on the budget, and then get everything done, and we'll move forward.
And review meeting schedule was the last item on
Yeah.
the schedule here.
So, we'll be starting up to meet every Tuesday from now on. Once we get going here.
Yeah, 'cause next week is town council,
Next week is town council.
and then the following week we have finance committee and workshop.
Yes. Mhm.
That's full council workshop, correct?
Yes, 5 o'clock we have finance committee
Mhm.
meeting, 6:30 we have town
6:30.
council budget
It
workshop.
says if needed.
Oh, we'll have to meet beforehand.
Oh, well, it sounds like you'll have more items coming in.
Oh, I'm sure
Yeah.
there'll be other items, yes.
I imagine it's gonna be a briefer one, because we're not reviewing so much, it'll just be odds and ends that are coming in.
Yeah, you all will be ahead of the regular council meetings for the budget workshops.
I think the finance committee going through this in such detail makes it a lot easier when the full council
Oh,
is
yeah.
there.
Mhm. This is true.
Well, I appreciate that Pete came to all the meetings.
Yeah, I know.
I try to stay awake.
All right.
Number crunching is on.
So,
So did we have anything else we wanted to discuss? Right now, I'm not changing the big CIP document, because if you change one figure, you have to change every page. But
Okay.
if we change something at the public hearing or before, then I'll make all the changes at the end of the year.
well, hopefully we'll have the changes made before the end, before the hearing.
That would be good.
And then the only changes would be what comes out of the, what
Yeah.
comes out at the hearing. So,
Which
Is that,
hopefully will be
that
very.
hearing is on the 15th
well,
of December, is that correct?
I am concerned about that too, because what if we have 50 people show up here because they want to see us in person about the budget?
They need to be masked. I mean, the masks are
Yeah.
if you cannot social distance. So
Yeah.
if we have to have more people in the room, then.
No, the rules have just changed,
Yeah.
going forward. And I'm not sure how this is gonna work. Right now, we have a capacity of like 14, you actually can make 15 here, and 16 if you stick somebody out the door and they can still see. And you can actually do another person here for 17, which we've done at the planning board meeting. But it says that you can have half of your capacity of the room. Capacity is 49, so we could have 24. Everybody has to wear a mask from now on. It's everybody.
Right.
It's a requirement to be in any common space in the municipal building. So that was
In
something.
any public building.
In any public building, but she specifically,
She
the
did
governor said
specifically say municipal.
municipal building, which had been sort of excluded. We counted ourselves, but now everybody has to wear a mask, which means you should be able, if you can have the 24, you can be, you don't have to be 6 feet away anymore, I assume. It
Well-
appears that's true.
I just, feel some people are, I mean, after the first couple of meetings with Zoom, it seems like interest dropped off, and we don't have any idea who's watching the videos. There's no way to keep track of that, so.
Can we have,
Oh, people are
do we
watching
have-
that.
well, I know, but do we have metrics from our town hall streams? Can they tell us how many views there has been?
let me check on that.
It'd be interesting to know.
Since I just took
Yeah.
this over, I made some changes here, so hopefully this is gonna work out better.
What I was gonna say too is that, I think that if we have handouts, we can put them out in the hallway for people to get before they come in, rather than having them in the front of the room.
Yeah.
And this desk can be either repositioned or just removed. And Pete can move up one chair and then that desk can be removed and we can get maybe 3 more people in, do you know what I mean? That's how we
People
can
to be
fit
on
more
camera.
people in.
Yeah, we'll have Bernard go through the room and position everything like he
Catherine,
did
is it
before.
worth for the public hearing talking to the school to see if we can reserve their gym?
Then we do not have
No,
the
we don't-
ability
we
to
don't have our-
count
Yeah,
the
they
town
said
hall.
Video.
nobody can go into their building. We've already tried that for a couple of events for people. Which I understand, because everybody's after them to go into their buildings.
And I think too, with the Zoom thing, that if there, and I think letting people know there is a maximum number of people that the room can accommodate per state orders.
Right.
There's nothing we can do about that, and that, you know, the
Of
first
course, who
23,
knows what our guidelines are
24
gonna be
people
by
in,
then.
I
that's
know.
what we can do for
Yeah.
capacity. And that if, you know, your husband and wife, only one person per family maybe, or something like that, and then have the Zoom option prominently displayed and advertised along with all of the other notifications that we need to do, because we're gonna have to be able to make accommodations. And then while we're running the meeting, we have to be very conscious about having that be a huge component of that.
Do we have a TV?
Pardon?
Do we have a TV?
We have a very small TV. It won't work to put it up. The other one costs over $1,000, but, would be purchased next year. Yeah. So we will have that eventually, so you can see everybody can see who's.
So I have a TV I'll bring in for that. That's,
For what?
I don't use anymore, that we can plug the computer in and then we can actually see who's talking on Zoom. I think for the public hearing especially, that's
Okay.
really important.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well, and the
because-
other thing for a
It's just
public
sitting there
hearing is a
collecting
lot of
dust,
people
so-
have,
Thank you, because
cell
of the budget
phones
freeze, I don't feel
and our
comfortable.
phone
No, no,
numbers
I agree with that, we should not
are
be
on the
spending money this
website.
year.
So during the meeting, people could text, and those questions could be asked as in a group.
Well, they can do the same thing,
The Zoom
participate
allows
with the
that.
Zoom
Yeah, but if
and do the
that-
text
so
on
Well, it's
that.
recommended that we not do this stuff because, and maybe we'll wanna do a telephone line instead. And then I can keep track of all these things, and I think I can, but it's recommended that we not do this chat, comment thing because it doesn't get into the minutes and the record properly and sometimes it gets dropped. You know, and is it a written record or not? So it was recommended from what the southern Maine towns went through, because they went through all this first. Everybody said, stop all this stuff.
Well, but somebody can participate with their phone, they don't have to be, it doesn't have to be a visual, you can
No,
do
they can
audio
phone call
only
in.
if there's
Yes.
concerns about what else is around you.
Right.
You can do it audio only, and they can still, do the button thing where they raise their hand to
Mhm.
make a comment, and then we can interact with them versus, as a text, it's just like,
Yeah.
they throw
It's
something out
just, but
there.
it's just one more option, isn't
But it doesn't sound like it
Someone
would
like
be
me,
a
I do
legal option.
almost everything on my phone.
Well, the unfortunate thing though is that it can't be included in the public record, because then it's a text message on your phone or on her phone.
Yeah, it would be an
And it has to
issue.
be public record. That means your phone would then become subject to public record.
Right, we want to keep away from all of this. It's just, it gets too technical, there's legal issues and ramifications. But, we'll work this all out. And I haven't advertised anything yet because I want Bernard to go through the room and read that. He'll set everything up like he did before. Then we'll see where we're going here. We'll put out, we've already bought extra masks, so we've got them for people that don't come, with a mask.
So what does that do for, is the medical exemption still a thing? Or is that gone with this new?
I'm
Executive order.
assuming it's a thing, but it's not in the order.
Because I physically can't wear it.
No, I understand.
I carry my note with me everywhere I go.
No, I understand, I've got 40.
I mean, if I need to
But-
move so I'm closer to the door over here because the audience is over here, I'm willing to make whatever accommodation I need to make.
Well, we'll
but
check, we'll
What is
check on that.
the issue?
I
issue
do
is
not
I am
want to
not
share
going to wear
my
TV.
medical condition
No.
with you.
All
I
right,
didn't
well-
realize you were talking about a medical.
No, I did, I said,
It's a
it's
medical
medical issue, is that
I
still?
did not hear that.
Yeah,
All right, well, we will figure this all out. So have Bernard go through the room and go over the capacity and what the governor has ordered for all this inside activity. Then we'll figure out what we're gonna do and how we'll move the room around and everything.
okay.
What about, and I'm just gonna throw this out there, the theater.
Well, I was thinking the same thing, but then I'm like, well, we're shutting down the water.
Well, then,
Then
well,
how are we gonna
we
set everything?
still lose the ability to have the public record and have people be able to video and visualize what's happening.
Well, not if you bring Zoom in. Because then
There-
you have
we
it,
won't have a
and you
video
can take that Zoom
recording.
video, you can record and post that on the website
Yes.
in place. I do that with our meetings all the time.
Yeah, some towns tried to do both the town streams and the Zoom, and they discontinued the Zoom, but they have the record of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, in case somebody wants to watch it.
absolutely, yeah.
If we were to go to the theater, obviously it would give us more space. But somebody would have to be in charge of enforcing that there is only like every third seat or fourth seat a person for the spacing necessary and required.
And we need our desks.
Well, we wouldn't need our desks, we could just have tables across the.
Yeah, we would be
the,
fine with
the
Stage.
stage there. And I'm guessing that they have a microphone that could be used, but you'd need somebody as a microphone runner to go and get questions from people or have people come stand in the podium. I don't know, I grew up with town hall meetings.
Yeah, this is a town hall
In
meeting,
a town
basically.
of 4,500 people. We had it in the gymnasium, and there was a lectern that you went up, and if you asked a question, you had to leave your bleacher seat, wake up your legs, and and you walk down, and you had to say your piece and interact with the moderator, who would then, moderate the meeting and interact with the selectmen
Yeah.
that way.
That's
And
just
and
what I was
anybody and
thinking.
everybody could come and talk about every single article. It was awesome. It
And
was like
sometimes
1 o'clock
they
in the
did.
morning sometimes, but everybody had the opportunity to participate, and that's why I'm so such a nitpicky person about everybody being able to have their say and being able to participate and ask questions and trying to have these different ways for them to do that.
I'm just not sure the theater is gonna be the right place because of the lighting and a number of items during COVID-19. So I think what we do is first we get the room set up properly, and then we really publicize how to use Zoom with instructions and how easy it is. And I mean, people do not, the first thing people say is, I don't want anyone to see my house or my picture of me
Yeah,
or
turn the
anything.
video.
Just hook up with the phone and all
Right,
they
you
see is
could
a
just
number.
listen, you don't have
Yeah, a
to.
number or
You
you
can listen and talk.
or you
Yeah.
put, my phone on it. You don't even have to have your name.
Yeah. And you can also.
Well, if
I mean,
it's a public
somebody's-
record thing though, don't we have to have their name anyway?
If they're participating.
Yes.
If they're gonna make comments, they
Yeah.
should be doing just like they would do
Yeah,
here, say their name
absolutely.
and where they live. But I mean, you can put a virtual background on too, if you
Correct.
have just a
Yeah.
desktop computer that you're using or something too, which can be fun.
You've seen mine. One of
There's a
them.
lot of different ways without us going to another
Yeah.
venue to make it
I think that-
available.
I think the number of people is gonna be the biggest concern.
Yes.
Which we can have more people now. We just need to do the setup of the room, which is moving things around. So Pete, it would move up, then it would be correct.
Yeah,
So-
Pete, you're gonna
so
have to
if
be on
that-
camera.
If that,
Then
Yes.
it's a
Depends
more-
on
more-
that.
put all that stuff in the
Yeah,
palm
the
and
mask
move
thing
that
becomes an
table,
issue.
say
Might
over
have to
here just for that night, to be out of the way.
All right, we'll get it up, we'll get it all figured out.
And lots of advertising everywhere, everybody's Facebook page.
We'll get it all figured out. But right now, you have a 7.4% increase in the budget, which is big.
I was gonna say.
What was last year's?
I have a chart that's going in the budget book. It'll have all of them listed for you.
I can't remember what last year.
But that does not, we're still, you put in a 1%
Pete, I think it was somewhere around 6 or 7 last year.
For pay, yep.
for pay, but wasn't there still another
There's a variety.
year for bringing the line people more in line?
I haven't even touched that yet because of the massive increase. I mean, there's enough complaining that people even got a raise last year and this year. I mean, if you go onto the internet and look at the Facebook pages and stuff, people are complaining about the budget, the taxes and everything.
Well,
So I haven't dared even look at that yet.
well, I think at some point we have to.
Oh, yeah, I
and,
agree, I agree.
You know, we have employees who have a wealth of knowledge, having worked here 25, 30, 40 years. I'd hate to lose them.
That's why they did get an increase last year. Everybody got a good increase. But there's some positions that probably are still misaligned, so that's what we need to look at. But that's usually.
I don't think a 7.4% is, I mean, it'd be nice if we didn't have an increase at all, but that's the mistake of not having an increase, is
Right.
you get behind on everything.
And that's not the final number either, there's gonna
Right.
be some more adjustments to that.
Yeah,
So
it'll be,
I don't think, I mean,
And
I'm
once
not,
we have the insurance numbers, we may see that go down anyway.
yeah, I think.
Yeah,
so.
that-
I
Yeah, there's a
think so.
lot of things that can
makes
change
sense.
it, so.
I'd like to avoid as much of an increase as possible because
Oh.
everybody's suffering this year.
Yeah.
And it's going to impact them for years to come.
it will. That's
Uh,
correct.
And I really
This
hate
is
the
gonna be
idea
a
of
way
our
of life,
aging
I think.
town's population trying to decide whether they have to pay their taxes or heat their homes or pay for food or medication,
You can
so.
only
We
increase
have
it once.
people making those struggles right now.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is,
I
I want
know.
to avoid
What do
making
I
it
add
harder
to it?
on those people.
Right.
Well,
So-
maybe at some point then,
People's
the
incomes aren't
finance
increasing
committee
7%
should.
a year,
Yeah,
What?
period. I
Correct.
said people's incomes are not increasing 7% a year.
No, that's
Right,
correct.
right.
So the one, the one unknown we have right now is what the valuation increase will be. It won't cover a 7.4% increase, but it will certainly help. We just have no idea what it will be from what we pick up on April 1st from the 2 new industries that we'll have.
right, right.
Because the second Puritan building will be online prior to April 1st, 2021, and there is no way to project all this stuff.
January 1st.
Yes, because the value
That's
that
what
they
they're
say
supposed
it is not what we would tax
They
it
did it
for.
in the summer. And we don't have any estimate of what that impact will be.
That-
You
I've
won't
talked to
until
the-
next year.
I've talked to the assessor, there's no way to, they struggle getting it done, for this year, April 1st. And they came all the time, they came while we were closed and everything, and I was here. And they got things done at the end of August, so they're gonna go in.
When is Walgreens scheduled to be in?
At the rate they're going, I think they would be in by next spring, but this will be, they've got to get their foundation in, and then they can build all winter.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there is a lot happening in town, all good, positive things, so I think we are gonna see some movement in the valuation as well as, personal property that'll be coming in.
A lot of it, though, that it's not taxable now, still. Some of it will be, there's a few categories that are taxable,
Mhm.
but most of it is not. But we will get what's called a Betty payment, so we'll get a payment, if the legislature doesn't change it, a payment for what is 50 or 60% of what it would have been taxed for. So you do get something added in, but some of the categories aren't taxed at all. That's why we got into the situation that we were in. We were able to use our reserves and extra monies and cut the budget and keep things going, but the economic decline went longer than what it was supposed to. The state revenue sharing didn't come back as quick, and we didn't rebuild as fast. But now, because we waited and didn't take like the marijuana processing facility that was proposed for one of the buildings, and we held out for something good, it will help, but it's gonna take, a couple of years to get caught up.
Well, and who says that won't come up again?
Oh, I think it's coming up again.
especially now that it's legalized, last Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you see the news with all of the lines at the places?
Mhm.
Holy.
Yeah, they ran out. They don't have enough marijuana now. It's a
Well-
marijuana shortage.
I don't know, it's like the power of, the power of the advertising, and everybody has to run and do it, you know.
Well, I mean, it's probably more of a, they've waited so long for it to be legal and to be able to go into a store and buy it. They were doing it on, it's like when the new Harry Potter movies came out. I was there at midnight.
To get the new book?
For the
Oh, for the movie?
For the movies. I bought my tickets well in advance so that I could be there opening night, the first showing. I even did the double features.
Oh, wow.
They were doing that.
See, I waited till it went on sale, and then I bought the DVD.
Yeah, no, that was
Yeah.
a see it in theater thing.
If we don't have any other business, we
Yes.
adjourn.
I had,
Move we adjourn.
Oh, Pete?
I had one question.
Oh.
Catherine, the airport leases, when are they getting, they're due to come up, aren't they?
Unfortunately, most of them aren't. There's one that, Chimbro's comes up,
When does that one come up?
in December.
So are we
I was
renegotiating
gonna
that?
say, who's gonna be negotiating?
That, will be myself when it comes up. The airport committee would have to meet to put new increases in place for leases.
Something needs to happen because,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something we've talked about for a couple of years now.
Yeah, so they have actually talked about that. So this will be interesting. That's not for the airport hangar itself, that's
yeah, I know,
separate.
yeah.
That would be separate.
So is this something that comes before the council to vote on, the lease?
Yes, in the end, yes. Yeah, and any lease on any of the spaces comes before you too, for its initial and its renewals.
Okay.
So is the airport committee meeting to discuss those changes, knowing there's a lease coming up?
We've talked about the fact, we've talked about the fact that they do need to meet, however, they have not, it's a project for Caleb. But, he's getting caught up on things just like everybody is, so, yeah. All right, it's 8:10.
Actually, 8:07.
All right, 8:07. Who made the motion to adjourn?
I did.
And who did the second?
I'll second it.
All right, amazing. I got distracted by the Harry Potter movie.
Sorry, well, you know, that's not the only series I've done.
All right, so my turn?
So we are adjourned?
We are.
So did I sign everything I had to sign, Catherine?
Yes.
Oh, I
thank
need
you.
There isn't anything else up
No,
there?
it's just one. We had a major number of water sewer billings. Everything's all caught up, and you did them all at the last meeting.
Cool. Well, everyone have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Good night.